Most people are terrible at listening. Trust me, I should know. My name's Dr. Dan. I'm a clinical psychologist. And so listening to other people is basically my job. And I just cringe so much when I see people struggling in conversations because they are not listening to one another. And the reason why I feel like that's cringy is because listening is not a hard skill to pick up. In fact, anybody can get better at listening with a few simple techniques, which is why I made this video. I'm going to share those techniques with you. There are 3 strategies that I like to recommend that I think will help you or anybody get better at listening. So here they are. The first strategy is really straightforward, and it's one that you probably could guess. If you want to be a better listener, you need to be willing to talk less. And this might not be a problem for everybody. If you just listen all the time and you don't talk, well, that's a separate video. But a lot of people talk more than they ought to. And sometimes that's just because you're a yapper. You just naturally love to talk. And you know what? That's okay. Everybody needs some yappers in their life to bring the energy up. But if you just love talking, you might find that you also love listening, that other people are more interesting than you think. And if you pull it back a little bit, you might be surprised by what you find. Also, sometimes people are not naturally yappers, but they talk too much because they are anxious. If you are anxious in a social situation, if you're worried about whether the other person will like you or whether they'll reject you, it's very common for that to lead you to talking too much because you are worried about how you're coming across. And so you try to control the situation by continuing to talk, or you're afraid of an awkward pause. And so you keep talking so that there's no gap in the conversation. And if that's you, take a breath, slow down. It's okay. The other person is going to like you or they won't. And whether there's a couple of awkward pauses in your conversation is not going to change that. But if you're willing to have some pauses in your conversation, then that gives the other person the chance to speak, gives them the chance to share, gives you the chance to listen. And that's the stuff that's going to make it easier for genuine connection to form. So don't worry so much about rejection, worry more about connection, which is going to lead you to talking less and give you more time for listening. The second listening strategy that will help just about anybody is putting some deliberate effort into showing the other person that you are listening and paying attention, because this is what encourages them to share more, open up more, and enjoy the interaction. This technique is commonly called active listening, and there's lots of in-depth guides that you can take on active listening, but honestly, my best recommendation for active listening is not to go take a course or read a book, but just to watch the people who are really, really good at it. If you find basically any video of Oprah interviewing somebody, and I'm going to include one in the description so you can find an easy one. Oprah is probably the best interviewer in the world, and a big part of that is how she does active listening. When somebody is saying something important, she leans in. When they say an idea, she'll nod. When they share something kind of emotional, she'll look sympathetic, or she'll say, ooh, or something like that. When they say something funny, she smiles or she laughs. These are all decisions, actions that she is taking that don't interrupt the other person, don't take the focus away, but signal to the other person, hey, I'm tuned in, I'm dialed in, I care about what you have to say. And that encourages the other person to share more. So practice your active listening. Treat it like any other skill that you want to improve. If you wanted to get better at basketball, you would spend 20 minutes a day throwing free throws. If you want to get better at listening, spend 20 minutes a day watching Oprah and looking for what she does, and then practicing it in your next conversation. And I can almost guarantee you will quickly find that people start to open up more to you when you do those active listening techniques. The one warning that I will say, though, is that in order for active listening techniques to work, you have to actually be listening. Nothing kills a connection faster than you saying, yeah, okay, and then nodding, and then you're not paying attention, and so your signals are off. When the other person realizes that you are faking active listening, well, then you've just killed your chance of connecting with them. So you have to actually pay attention, but then if you do, active listening signals that you're paying attention, and it can be really helpful. And then the third technique that will make you or anybody else a more effective listener is to listen for what is the most important that the other person is sharing. Because not everything that a person says is created equal. People will often share certain components that they are the most interested in, that are the most important to them. And your job as a listener is to find out what those are and ask about them or lead the conversation towards those things that the other person cares about the most. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes there's things that the other person just really loves. Maybe there's a hobby that they have. Maybe there's a movie that they watch that they really enjoy. Maybe they have a pet that they love to play with or they love to talk about. And they'll mention these things in conversation. And you want to look for when they sort of light up a little bit, when their energy increases, when they share more about that than they might about something else. And when you notice that, that's the thing that you want to ask more questions about. You want to lead them towards the thing that's exciting for them. The other way that this can show up is that people will often share ideas about things that are important to them in their life right now. Maybe somebody is moving soon and that's a big stressor in their life. Maybe they have a big project at work that they're working on and they're thinking about that. If somebody has something in their life that is important to them, they will often mention it, even in situations where nobody asked about it, or they might bring it up multiple times. And so if I'm in a conversation with somebody and somebody brings up a particular thing about their life several times, that's my clue that this is important to them. And I need to try to ask a question about it. And if I can do that, then I'm leading them into a direction that is important to them. And then I am using my active listening skills to show that they're important to me. I want to listen to them. And then, of course, I am not interrupting. I'm giving them the space to share. And that combination of things creates just this incredible listening experience for the other person where they feel like you really care about what they have to say. And that is where connection comes from. Because number one, you are going to understand them better. People will reveal themselves to you if you let them. And being a strong listener gives you a huge advantage in terms of understanding somebody and feeling connected to them. And number two, most people want to have a give and take in conversations. And so if you are a great listener, if you show a lot of interest and curiosity in the other person, well, guess what? They're going to start to show curiosity and interest in you also. They're going to start to pay more attention when you share things. And so you being a good listener, you being willing to go first in that, invites other people to be good listeners also and helps you form better relationships. So those are my 3 strategies. Talk less, watch Oprah to learn how to active listen or any other interviewer, podcaster, etc. And number 3, look for what is most important. Look for what lights the other person up. Look for what's a big part of their life right now and direct your curiosity towards that. If you do that, you will be a much better listener. So try this stuff out. Come back in the comments. Let me know how it goes. If there's something else you want me to do a video on, definitely leave a comment and let me know. And of course, if you found this helpful, like, subscribe, sign up for notifications. All those things are super, super helpful for me and encouraging to because I'm a human being too. And so knowing that people like my stuff makes it easier for me to put the work into building these videos for you guys. So thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate you being a good listener to me and hope that this equips you to be a good listener to the people in your life. Dr. Dan, signing off.